My name is Miranda Loth, and I'm here with the Workforce Development Board of the Mid-Ohio Valley with,
Jessica Rummer.
and today we're going to talk about the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act wage reimbursement programs to employers. And our presentation today is for WIOA, Second Chance Employment.
I now want to talk about the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act funding and how it flows to the Workforce Development Boards. It does come from the Department of Labor. It's then distributed to all of the states. The state of West Virginia will get our funding, and then the state of West Virginia distributes the WIOA funding to the Workforce Development Board regions. We have 7 regions for West Virginia, and we serve Region 4. Our customers that we serve are job seekers and employers. So the job seeker customer would either be eligible through the adult program, or if they're a dislocated worker, and then if they're a veteran, veterans receive priority. And then for employers, we do offer the wage reimbursement programs like we're going to discuss today. And we do programs to help with trainings. So it's all about wage reimbursements and trainings for employers. With the WIOA funding, we serve our job seekers and our employers out of American Job Center locations or one-stop locations. Our American Job Center location is St. Joseph's Landing. It's the old St. Joe's Hospital, and our case management staff is on the 5th floor.
West Virginia has 7 workforce development boards. We are located in Region 4 and are comprised of 9 counties, including Calhoun, Clay, Jackson, Mason, Pleasant, Ritchie, Roane, Wirt, and Wood. Workforce West Virginia Empowered Employment Program is the state's pilot program to assist individuals in overcoming barriers of employment. The goal of the program is to place individuals into work experience opportunities, allowing participants to develop work skills. The Empowered Employment Program is designed to assist individuals in obtaining a time-limited work experience that is wage paid, 100% subsidized for the public, private, and nonprofit sectors. The worksite is required to payroll the employee. These jobs are designed to enable an individual to establish a work history, demonstrate work success in an employee-employer relationship, and develop the skills that lead to unsubsidized employment. The trainee must have 1 or more barriers to employment and be chronically unemployed or have an inconsistent work history. Barriers to employment for the purposes of eligibility include low income, individuals with disabilities, ex-offenders, homeless, English language learner, displaced homemaker, secondary school dropout, basic skills deficient, individuals participating in recovery activities for substance abuse, or individuals impacted by drug opioid use or incarceration of a family member. Individuals are considered chronically unemployed or to have an inconsistent work history when they have never held a full-time job, 30 or more hours per week for more than 13 consecutive weeks, has been fired from a job within the 12 months prior to application, has held more than 3 jobs in the 52 weeks prior to application, on parole or probation, or has been released from jail or prison within the last 12 months prior to application, or has been unemployed for 15 or more of the 26 weeks prior to the application. Minimum wage for the Empowered Employment Program is $8.75 per hour, and that's 100% subsidized employment. That's equal to 1,040 hours. The Empowered Employment Program is up to 26 weeks, and your potential savings to use this program is $9,100.
I'm now going to talk about on-the-job training or OJT wage reimbursement. The purpose of an OJT is to train a new employee, and the way this would work is an employer would either refer an employee to us after they've already offered the position to them, and we could check to see if they're eligible as an adult or dislocated worker. The other way would be if we have someone on any of our case managers' current caseload that we could help you fill a position with. The wage reimbursement is either 50 or 75% of their salary, up to 480 hours. It would be 75% for an employer worksite that has 99 or fewer employees, and if you're a worksite that has 100 or more employees, it would only be 50% of their wages. The purpose of the OJT is to fill the gap between a potential new employee's skills and where they really need to be able to perform the job full time. One part of eligibility for the OJT is a drug screen, and this could be a potential cost savings to the employer. If you already do a drug screen, you could opt to go ahead and use the state's instead of yours. And then the other thing with the OJT is that we could potentially do the Empowered Employment Program that Jessica discussed, then move into an OJT. This is only something that we can do if it's moving someone into a completely different job. So for example, if you have someone through the Empowered Employment that maybe was doing administrative type duties that you're moving into management, then we could do an OJT. If we do the OJT, that could be a potential cost savings with the Empowered Employment from $9,100 with the OJT to $3,600. Total savings $12,700. The OJT does pay or is required to pay $10 an hour, and you are the employer in this situation. We do not payroll the individuals. We are just reimbursing you. And the $10 an hour is also only allowed if you're in a full-time position. So this is for any job that's 32 hours or more. The next program is Transitional Jobs. Transitional Jobs is another adult work experience program. We do require that the work site payroll these individuals, and then we reimburse 100%. The transitional job requires a classroom training component, and this is something that we are setting up locally to provide for one full day. And we do require that the worksite pay for this. It's basically providing a boot camp to employment for adults. The main reason that the transitional job is out there is to try to help job seekers overcome many different barriers to employment. Some of those barriers would be a poor work history. So if they have a spotty work history, or if they've been long-term unemployed, ex-offenders, so if they're trying to re-enter the workforce out of the correctional system, also if they have other significant barriers to employment. So it's really similar to the Empowered Employment Program. It's just a WIOA program. It's not a state program, and it is only for 200 hours, but again, it is 100% subsidized, and we reimburse that back to the work site. So the potential savings at $8.75 an hour for the employer would be $1,750.
I'll talk about our additional resources at this time. First, we'll start with WOTC, the WOTC program. It is the Work Opportunity Tax Credit, which is a federal tax credit available to employers for hiring individuals from certain target groups who have consistently faced significant barriers to employment. Each year, employers claim over $1 billion in tax credits under the WOTC program. WOTC can reduce an employer's federal tax liability by up to $9,600 per employee hired. There is no limit on the number of individuals an employer can hire to qualify to claim the tax credit. WOTC is an incentive to hire and retain individuals including recipients of TANF, SNAP recipients, disabled or unemployed veterans, ex-felons, long-term unemployed individuals. An employer must obtain certification that an individual is a member of a target group before the employer may claim the credit. An eligible employer must file Form 8850, which is a pre-screening notice and certification request for the Work Opportunity Tax Credit, with their respective state workforce agency within 28 days after the eligible begins. Qualified tax exemption organizations will claim the tax credit on Form 5884C. Federal bonding is insurance to protect the employer against employee dishonesty during the first 6 months of employment. Federal bonding protects the employer against losses caused by the fraudulent or dishonest acts of the bonded employee. Examples of such acts of employee dishonesty include theft, forgery, larceny, and embezzlement. Employers receive the federal bonding free of charge as an incentive to hire these applicants. Federal bonds has a $5,000 limit with a zero deductible and covers the first 6 months of a selected individual's employment. The employer can pick up additional bonds from the state at a low cost after the 6-month period. This unique hiring incentive tool targets individuals whose backgrounds can possess significant barriers to securing or retaining employment, including justice-involved citizens, individuals in recovery from substance use disorders, welfare recipients, individuals with poor credit records, economically disadvantaged youth and adults with little or no work history, and individuals dishonorably discharged from the military. Additional resources available to help job seekers include transportation assistance, work-related clothing purchases up to $300, the National Career Readiness Certificate through WorkKeys, coordination with additional partner agencies such as West Virginia Jobs and Hope, Department of Rehabilitation Services, and Department of Health and Human Resources.
That concludes our presentation for today. If you would stick around, we will be available in the chat rooms. So if you get out of the presentation and go back to the booth section, we have different booths available for all of the resource programs such as West Virginia Jobs and Hope, the Mid-Ohio Valley Reentry Council, the tax incentives that Jessica discussed, the federal bonding, and the WOTC. We have kind of an employer testimonial booth from Dave's Killer Bread. And then we have another booth for the WIOA employment wage reimbursement programs that we discussed today. We do have an employer wage reimbursement program application, so Workforce Development Board employer application, and we will have links to that within the WIOA wage reimbursement booth. Thank you so much for your time, and we look forward to working with you in the future.